So I'm often on podcasts and interviews where people ask me about the coaching world, and they want me to give advice to new coaches. And I have this shtick that I do because I think there's a lot. The coaching industry is pretty predatory, and a lot of money is made in telling people that they can be a coach. So my joke often is that being a coach is like being a musician. If you can be anything other than a musician, you should go do that and get health insurance and benefits and a salary and play music on the weekends. Same thing with being a coach. If you can be anything other than a coach, you should do that. Because what I loved about being in business was someone else paid my American Express and someone else paid for my health insurance while I raised my kids. Now, as a coach, I'm an entrepreneur. I love to coach. Didn't think I was going to be an entrepreneur. My next guest is a musician who also has a wife and beautiful children, and he wants to live a full, productive life. He's insanely talented. And he was just on The Voice, which he made it to the live shows, rocked every performance, could have had a 4-chair turn, but we're gonna talk about that, and made some decisions in his life that I think are really, really interesting to our conversation. Pete Mroz, I think I'm saying it right because I've listened to enough interviews, is a 25-year veteran of the apparel industry. He works for FootJoy right now, but he's also like a ridiculously talented musician. And he's here to talk about his life and what led up to being on The Voice and really taking a chance on himself. Pete, thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So before we get to The Voice and the things that you did to do there, because that's kind of the flashy part of this conversation. Tell me about give me your biography as a musician up to the point where you started to have to make choices, whether it's being go for the dream, have a family. How do you mix the two? So bring me up to date with that.
Yeah. So, I started playing music in my late teen years, and I, like a lot of things in my life, once I get into something, I'm in it. I'm like, it's not kinda, it's me. So at 19 years old, I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, because some folks told me that I needed to move there and pursue music full time. So I was fortunate enough to have people kind of invest in me and move me to Nashville and pay for a demo. And
so you had people around you who saw your talent,
yeah,
and were like, this guy is different than everybody else. He should go to Nashville.
That is correct. And it was one of the first lessons early in my becoming a man, where I realized that the way to greatness is to lift people up. And then those people were lifting me up, and that in turn brought them along. And I try to do the same thing. So I come to Nashville. I don't know anything. I mean, it's so presumptuous and like, I don't even know the right word, but I moved to Nashville, didn't know how to write songs, had only been playing guitar for a year and a half, maybe. I had only really been singing out karaoke, for like a year. And here I am moving to the epicenter of where all the greatest songs, one of the epicenters of greatest songs, are written, Nashville, Tennessee. So I moved to Nashville, really just immersed myself in the songwriting world, writers' nights, writing with people, driving down the road, looking at billboards and going, "Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's a good idea." Eyes wide open, ears wide open, So I do that for, I would say, a solid hardcore 5 years in Nashville, where I probably through about 24 years old, where that's all I did, man. I just ate it, slept it, drank it, breathed it.
And so you learned to write, you learned the craft.
Yeah. And I did it in a fast and furious, kind of like a P90X type version. You know what I mean? And when you do that, I think you run the risk of, quote unquote, burning out or getting jaded or getting kind of like, oh, enough. I've seen behind the curtain. I don't know if I want that.
It's very different. You love music, not so much the music industry, right? And then you find out that there's an industry to the whole thing.
You totally find out. And this is another thing, not to chase this rabbit, but you find out very quickly within about 2 years of being with any company, you can kind of have a magic a crystal ball, and you can kind of see what the future looks like a little bit. Once you know the culture internally of a company, you can kind of somewhat make an educated decision of how much more time you're going to invest of yourself into that company and where you think you're project to where you think you're going to go. I mean, for not always 100%, but you know what I mean? You have an educated guess at that point. So at 24, I got into golf of all things because, you know, I was bartending, writing music, and playing golf, you know, and so golf kind of overtook music a little bit for a little while in my life, where I kept on writing and kept on playing shows. But that same kind of fervor I had for writing when I was 19 then shifted to golf. And I thought, oh man, could I have a career in golf and make money in the golf world? And when I say golf, it wasn't, I never wanted to play golf professionally. I wanted to sell golf products professionally. It was a tangible item that I could say to you, hey, Mark, check this out. Here's this club. Here's what it does. Here's how it's going to help you. No frills, no BS. This is what it does. Here it is. Check it out. And you as a golfer, I'm like, huh, wow, you know, cool. I'm in, man. You know, so that takes me into my mid 20s. And like I said, I keep on playing music.
I'm just curious. I'm curious at this point, how are you making your money to live?
At this point, I was bartending. I bartended through my 20s, almost all my 20s, and it was very good to me. The hours were awesome.
So the cliche that every bartender and waiter in Nashville is more talented than anybody could ever guess, right?
It's truth, but you know, and I've had this conversation a lot in depth with people that think about it. A bartender talks to, at any given moment, a plumber, a lawyer, you name it. You could go around the bar and if you were good at what you do, you're having some pretty complex, different conversations around the board where you have.
I was a bartender and a waiter into my 30s, so yeah.
So you get it, yeah. I mean, I loved it. I mean, I couldn't do it now, you know, but I mean, it took care of me, and then I found in that world that there are ways to be efficient in the bartending world and get what you want out of it. So I found bartending gigs that fit my lifestyle, that I didn't want to stay out till 2 a.m. I didn't want to stay up till, you know, close the bar down at 2 and get home at 4 a.m. because I was decompressing for a couple hours after the shift, like everyone does in their normal jobs. You know, I found gigs where the bar closed at 12 and I got to bed at 2 and I got up at 9 and played. You know what I mean? I've always been a schedule oriented person, and I always have a watch on. I always remember my dad having a watch, and time, you have to be on time, and you have to schedule and manage your time, because it's all we really kind of have is this little amount of time in life that you don't know when the bell's going to ring.
And in my book, one of the things that I say is all we own is our time and attention. So I'm right with you.
It's truth, isn't it though, man? I mean, it's like, yeah. So through my mid 20s, I do that. And then around 29, a friend of mine said to me, he said, I remember it so vividly. He said, Pete, it's time to stop playing Peter Pan. And I was like, whoa, hey man, whoa, what do you mean? Whoa, hey, get off my cloud, man. What are you talking about? He said, look, you've been chasing music and doing this, you know, and bartending. And he goes, it's time to get a real job. You know, it's time to get a real, and I thought he didn't mean it like I'm trading in this for that completely, but there was a part of his demeanor that is what he meant.
Yeah, sure.
You know, because he couldn't see past the box.
My son is following his dream right now, and he keeps asking me if he's wasting his time. And the dad in me wants him to come home, get back in college, and put on khakis and a polo shirt and be in a cubicle and have health insurance. But the coach in me is like, I've never seen you so lit up and happy and engaged in life. Of course you should do what you're doing. But you know, those two parts are always there.
I hope with everything in me, you continue to tell him that, because that is the people that make it are the people that don't quit. people that, and is it easy? No, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. You know, I mean, and it wouldn't be worth anything if it was easy. Not really. So here we go, 29 years old, and I decide that I want to go work for this big company called Ping Golf. And they reached out to me, and I remember I was bartending. This guy came in, and I said, hey, I'm about ready to go out to Carlsbad, California with a different golf company. And he goes, don't do that yet. I haven't talked to you. And I said, well, who are you? You know, and he goes, I'm the regional manager for Ping Golf, blah, blah. A month later, I was living in Phoenix, Arizona, you know, starting my journey in the golf business. And Ping as a company really taught me. Let me just say this so I don't chase this rabbit too much. At this point, I will tell you, music wasn't on the back burner completely, but it definitely wasn't at the front burner. So maybe it was in the middle burner. I mean, I was really focused on Ping, the golf business, just like 19 songwriting, just like discovering golf. Sure. You know, I latched on to something and went, okay, I'm all in.
Now, did you play on weekends? Did you do open mics? Did you keep that in your blood, or did you actually have dust on your guitar?
No, I've never had dust on my guitar. One thing is definitely not. I probably haven't like focused on my voice as much as I should have through the years. I've taken it for granted, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I've focused and put more time into playing a guitar than anything, and that's me. You know, that's just who I am. But no, I didn't play anywhere near as much. But what I did do, I don't know if I've really talked about this before, but what I did do is I found this online world called Second Life. And it's really trippy. A fan reached out to me. This is at 29, 30, going into Ping. I'm doing all this business stuff. I don't have time to go play gigs, to find clubs to play, all that stuff. So the fan reached out to me and said, hey, you can play these shows online with a character that looks like you, a little avatar that looks like you. And there's all these other avatars that are watching you, your avatar, but they're listening to you, your live stream.
That's great. And that's 15 years ago that we had the technology. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. And they tip you, and then you take that money and you transfer it back into the company that owns this virtual world, and it goes into your PayPal account. I'm like, what? Like, mind blown, you know? So anyway, so I immersed myself on the weekends and at nights. I traveled all around the country for Ping and had my guitar in a hotel at night, was playing online shows. And I kept my chops all through my 30s playing these shows. I mean, man, sometimes I would play, oh my God, I'd play 3 shows a day for an hour. You know, I'd play 3 straight hours broken up and making, you know, peanuts, making nothing, you know, making $40 for an hour, you know, which is not too bad, but you know, anyway, so that's how I kept my voice going and playing. So I really owe a tip of the hat to all the fans in Second Life that really supported me through the years and stayed with me in a very behind the scenes, weird kind of way, you know? And then, hey man, then through my 30s, I left Ping because I was there for 5 years and I had that vision, like I told you, the crystal ball, here's where I'm going. Don't know. So I left and went back to Nashville and said, I'm going to give this one last shot. And I'm going to go see if I can go play music with my business acumen I have now. I'm going to see if I can apply that to the music and see what I can make of it. So I ended up raising $22,000 from the fans to record an album. And I went out and recorded the album in LA and then toured around for 2 years. And I kind of got the feeling at the time, I was like, this isn't sustainable, you know, for what I want in life. It just wasn't going to make me, I didn't see the money, you know what I mean? I didn't see the sustainability of the money, and life isn't about money, but
plus the lifestyle, because the money is made on the road now, not really on the songs.
That's right. That's right.
So if you're going to at some point, when did you meet your wife?
Oh, I met my wife when I was 6 years ago. Today is our anniversary. Yes. So,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. So I
So
lived,
you're still single while you're traveling around the country and doing.
I was. So I was as free as I could be, so I had the ability to just turn on what's the little buzzword in the 2020. I pivoted very easily. I was pivoting a lot, So while I was doing that, I told you that I like to shoot pictures and video. I started looking at the content online and went, man, the quality is awful. So I'm gonna put my own quality in, content out. So I started doing that. And other artists started reaching out saying, who did that? And I said, I did that. They're like, would you do that for me? I'm like, really? Like, well, bing, a little light went off. I went, I'm gonna start a video company. So I put all that energy into the next thing. Here it is. And it's amazing how my company, Lucky 55 at the time, was started growing. I mean, I was picking up clients I never should have had ever. Like I had Ford at one point and did some stuff for them, which I had no business doing, but we pulled it off and they were happy. So anyway, I do the video production, and that really kept me in the music world in a very interesting way because I'm in Nashville. I shoot video and pictures and I understand artists. So now I start getting a lot of work shooting for record labels, and I'd go into these video sessions with a camera, and some of these artists, they know me, or they didn't know about the video production company. They knew me as an artist, and they'd see me with a camera and they're like, Pete, like, I remember the first time, like Vince Gill walked into a shoot one time, and he walked in and he looked at me. And I could tell his brain was he doesn't know me. We're not buddies, but I've met him probably 10 different times in occasion here or there. And he's like looking at me. He's like, what? And I said, I know. It's kind of weird. You don't really know me, but we've talked several times. He's like, oh, that's right. He goes, oh, you got a video company, huh? Yeah. I mean, just a very odd exchange, but it still kept me in the music business, kept me playing. It's still media, I mean, it's all these things. And that is how that road, I believe that video world was meant for one thing, really. That was to meet my wife, because she had a company where she taught kids how to model and act. And they needed someone to design their website, shoot some video content. And I got referred by a friend of a friend of a friend. Boom, the rest is history with her. I mean, we met each other there, and I never, like I said, never gave up music. And I would tell you that in my late 30s is when I decided to kind of hone in on the blues. I've always loved playing the blues, but I never really kind of felt like I deserved to be able to carry that flag, if you will.
Sure.
I'm very reverent to the blues and what it represents, and the true essence to me personally. This is just my own thing of what the blues is. And I always felt kind of like in my 20s, like, what am I going to do? Like, come on. Like, right. So I felt like I had to get some life under my belt before I could go out and fly the blues flag, if you will. So I was very fortunate to start a band called Super Honk in Nashville with some guys that were just amazing friends. And that kept me really busy with playing live music, because we'd play on the weekends when we wanted to, just for the people. There was no ulterior motive of, I want to be a star. I want everyone to hear me. It was like, hey, come down to Bourbon Street, and for 2.5 hours, we're going to take you out of your week that might have been kind of shitty, and you're going to dance with us, and we're going to have a good time, and there's going to be love just bouncing all around the room, and woo, and that's what that was. And I did that for 7 years, and we're still playing today.
Nice.
So
I want to move you to the tension part, where now you meet the woman of your dreams, you get married, and now you have kids. And now you're no longer a free spirit to pivot all over the place. That's now you have responsibilities, and you have things, there's things to do when you're a dad and a husband.
Yes.
How did you handle the tension of those things? You have little kids, and you're responsible.
Handling the tension of having kids and shall we
an
say,
artistic spirit, like
yeah. It's a balancing act for sure. Like handling, being a musician, artistic, whatever the words might be with that, and having a family and being responsible. You learn a lot about yourself. I realized that I didn't realize I was so traditional. I didn't even know this about myself. Golly, I think of some of the conversations I've had over time about how untraditional I thought I was until I had kids. And let's say had a kid, my son Cooper
yes.
first. I call him my savior. He was my little, change. He radically changed my life in such a glorious way that I was so tired of it being about me. Everything was about me.
Doesn't that just changes the world? I was terrified of bees and spiders before I had kids. Now bees, I'm like I got to take care of the bee or the spider. Like it's just me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it just shifts who you can be. I think I know that my sons turned me into a man. So what I love about this conversation is people think that it's an either or proposition. You either go after your dream, right, and sacrifice everything else, or you shut it down and you do the responsible thing. And what you're showing is that you can weave in and out. You can add. I think I talk to a lot of my clients are CEOs and executives in big companies or entrepreneurs, and they work their asses off. And they, and I'll ask them, and what they started out to be was an artist. What they started out to be was any number of things that aren't what they're doing now, and they're afraid to let those things back in. And I try and I over time I can show them that it actually makes them better at what they do, and makes them better family men, better dads, better everything when they bring in those other things. It just gives them a breath.
Yes.
But it takes a while because people are so terrified. I lose my health insurance. I don't make my payroll. I don't like, those are the things that we're terrified of that keep us up at 3 o'clock in the morning, not our expression.
What you see is people are terrified on multiple levels. I have an amazing company that's allowed me to go, dig this. A company, a number one brand in golf, allows me to go to The Voice, be in a hotel for months on end, let me work remotely, try to juggle it all, and they're behind me because they know this. They know that if I am not full as a human, I am empty to them as a
Smart.
leader in their company. They get it. They get it. Now
let's go to The Voice now. I really want to get to. So that's a big step to decide to audition to a kids show, right?
Yeah.
Like to 16-year-olds go and try The Voice, and go to the mall and do the thing. You're a 45-year-old man, children, responsibilities, and how'd you make the decision to go put it all out there like that?
So the pandemic hit in March of last year, and we all were in a kind of a bleak mindset of we didn't know what was going to happen, period. Nobody did. Nobody knew, and especially in the business world. Think about when it hit. We all just were like, whoa, what is going on? I would have called you, you call me. We're trying to figure out what's going on. Like, what are you going to do? I don't know. You know what I mean? So it was a very kind of complex time of unknowledge, no knowledge, what was going to happen. So The Voice reached out to me because in the past I had auditioned years ago when my mind was in a different spot.
Okay. So you had auditioned and they reached out to you. Okay.
Yeah. But from a business standpoint, I was nowhere in the business world back then that I am now. Nowhere in my career at all. So I said to my wife, I said, hey, check this out. And I said, look at this email. Showed her my phone and she was like, oh, she goes, you think that's real? I said, I don't know. I said, some of these things are just kind of cattle call, mass email from an agency. And I was like, yeah. I said, I'm gonna go upstairs. I got nothing to do. It was like 11 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I'll go upstairs, turn the video camera on, and record 3 songs, send it in. I'm cliff noting it, but I mean, and we'll see what happens. So I come downstairs about 30 minutes later, literally 30 minutes later, and she goes, "Are you done? Are you not going to do it?" I said, "No, I did it. I'm done." She's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I sent it in, like whatever." Like she's like, "Okay, boo-doo-doo." We just move on. We just move on with our day. And then I would say probably, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks, month later, the casting agent reaches out to me and says, "Hey, Pete, we'd like to move you to the next process of the voice of this." I was like, still skeptical. I was like, sure. Okay. Like, what's next? Let's hop on a Zoom and talk. Okay, cool. Let's do that. So I have nothing to lose, everything to gain, so I didn't have any kind of everything to gain. Sorry. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. And I just thought, why not? Like, why not? I'll keep on pushing this forward and see what happens.
So what I hear is this wasn't like an existential crisis. Like, I just need to give myself this shot. I want to prove something to my kids, all that stuff. It was, hey, an opportunity came up. I'm going to say yes to whatever this is and just follow this string till it ends.
Yes, because I want to say this. I believe in the universe. And what I mean is I believe the universe puts things in your path, and you can choose to suss that out and see what the universe is doing and move forward with it in a responsible way. Or you can say, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. And I think for me, if I was the kind of person that said, no, I'm not doing that, I would only move so far into this universe. I would only excel so much. But the fact that I think I do say to, hey, let's see what this is all about. In a responsible way.
There's something really interesting here, because I think there's infinite ways of going through life, but there's 2 really interesting paths with this conversation. There's the, I'm going to make it no matter what. I am driven to be a star, right? Beyonce. I know I'm going to be this. And then there's the, I am going to say yes to life. I'll risk, but I'm not going to put all my chips on the table, completely make or break. Like, so I think, there's different ways to go about it. And I think you win either way.
Yeah. I've never been the other way. I've never, ever had the drive to say, I'm a star. I want everyone to know who I am. I care, but I don't care about that. You know what I mean? I don't care about everyone knowing who I am. And like, I want to know who you are. I enjoy connecting with you. And you know what I mean? So sure. that path is much slower than the path of, I feel like it's like the turtle and the hare race. Sure. I'm the turtle.
It makes for such a rich life.
Yes. Oh man. God. So
move us to the auditions. So now you find yourself walking up the steps, and you're about to play. You're on, the lights, camera, action, and you're about to play. And if you people look online, they know that you have some history with Blake Shelton, but you're there to do your thing. So you do you do that. What was going through your again? I keep this is Mastering Midlife, so you're 45 years freaking old.
Yeah.
What's going through your 45-year-old mind with your guitar and you're on stage? Like here.
What's going through my mind is that the voice world, everyone wants to, they ask you, if I had to hear this one more time, are you nervous? Are you nervous? Are you nervous? It's like, no. I just want to do it. Like, I just want to do this. Like, in whatever this is, I signed up for it. Here I am. I went through the rehearsals. I went through the countless videos, interviews. Like, okay, what's next? What's next? What else is possible? And I'm walking up the stage, and this is a really crazy thing. This is I was so hyper focused. It was a very enlightening experience for me personally, because I realized, that when your mind goes into hyper focus, maybe you can levitate. Maybe you can. I don't know, like I went into I remember walking up the steps, turning to the left. The voice stage is like another planet. It's like another, especially for a musician that's played a lot of different places. It's a whole different
And
world.
the virtual audience. So that had to be unnerving.
Yeah, there's a virtual audience, but now I will say in my mind, I had already made up that virtual audience is you. It's just like this conversation. Yes. And one good thing about a good thing as a pandemic is we've learned how to communicate in a way that's it transcends touching. Our brain is tapping into what's it like to really shake your hand, virtually. You know what I mean? And sure. To feel that same feeling of connection. So I was like, in my mind, I was like, I don't care about those chairs. I don't care. I'm talking to those people. Nice. And that was my thought process. So I'm up there, stand there at my mark, and you hear the stage guy go, okay, on cue, here we go, cheep, bum, 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 and then all of a sudden, you're in. It's just like, it's boom, everything happens like that. And I'm looking at the crowd and I'm singing and I'm thinking, yeah, man, I'm connecting with those people. And then a chair turns around and I didn't even know who it was that turned. I didn't, in my mind, I didn't look down at the chair and go, oh, there's John Legend. I swear on everything I did. I was just so focused, right? And then when Blake turned, in my mind, I know where he sits, so when he turned, it broke.
Yeah. And you can see it. I went back to the video. You can see it.
Yeah. It kind of took me out of my focus. And then
it was also charming, by the way. It was also very winning and charming, which is important on that kind of a show.
Well, I think in that moment that you saw it, everyone else saw it. They saw authenticity of me to Blake, and then they also saw something with Blake that they haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So anyway, as I'm singing, I'm thinking, wow, John Legend and Blake Shelton. And I'm like, I wonder if Kelly will turn around, and I've said this before, God bless Nick Jonas. I don't really know much about Nick Jonas or anything. So it wasn't like I was like, God, I hope Nick Jonas turns around. I'm 45. What do I know about the Jonas Brothers? Actually it might be a little weird.
Except that they're way better than I would have expected them to be.
Are they? Yeah, maybe they are.
I'm like, I like this. Oh shit, it's the Jonas. I like the Jonas. Oh my God.
Well, so maybe I need to go back and listen to the Jonas Brothers.
It's pop. But here's where I've heard you in another interview. So you're singing the song and you're just doing such a good job. I watched it and I real time, and I'm just like, love this guy. And I'm watching Kelly rock, and I'm like, this guy's going to get a 4-chair turn. And in another interview, I heard you say once you got 2 chairs, you decided to do the golf thing and hit it down the fairway and not go for it. And I think that's the difference. Well, I've heard interviews, people in the documentary about Alan Jackson. Alan Jackson is this aw shucks laid back guy.
Yep.
No, he's not. Alan Jackson he's a freaking animal about success and maniacal about making it big, right? So that affability, all that kind of stuff. But then here's you didn't go for Kelly. You didn't go for it. And I was actually sitting there going, what is he doing? But now that I'm getting to know you, I totally get it, because that's not the vibe of your life, right? That's not how you have the richness of your life. One of the, I want to read, do you read the comments of your videos?
I do. I really do. So, I read a lot of them because I feel like that's how I'm connecting with people.
So this person writes, he's just putting on a show, having fun, being an artist. It's not a competition for him. No. It's his way to share his gift with all of us. Thank you, Pete. That's who you are, right? So for me, like, I had questions about, what's it like to watch people who are less talented than you make it big, right? Like, you got John Legend to turn his chair. You got John Legend to turn his chair. That to me, I've been watching The Voice for a long time. That to me tells me, what the depth of your talent and your expression and how you're able to convey yourself. Um, but again, with your life, that resentment is probably not a big deal for you, because
Mm.
again, you're very focused on getting as much quality in your life, and and richness in it, uh, and which is probably again why you did so well.
Right now, right? I want to get quality and richness right now.
That's
You know,
midlife, though. That's see.
yeah.
So this is the crux of this interview for me, and what I want to convey to people who are listening is that you spend your 20s and 30s climbing, doing, striving, trying to get things, and then there's a time where the richness of life, where your relationships with what your experiences in this moment. So when you said you walked on that stage and you were connecting with the people in the audience, right? That's where you found your richness. It wasn't in trying to be 30 again and going, hey,
Mm-mm,
maybe I can do this. It was really
mm-mm.
cool.
Can I tell you this, man? I'm processing everything as you speak, and I got to tell you that I am blown away. Truly, like I'm kind of got when you read that comment, I kind of got choked up a little bit because my whole life is just I don't know why, but I love connecting with people. And the hardest thing about that show was, and everyone there, if you could interview everyone that works backstage, they would tell you this. I had a hard time connecting. Like, I want to connect with you. It's like, I don't, a production assistant, whatever. And with a combination of COVID, keeping distance, it's a TV show, all these different things. I was not the likely candidate for that show.
No.
I was not. And I'm so thankful that, like, when you read those comments, that people, they all picked up on it. And I wasn't trying to put that out there, but that was some of my best friends called me and said, man, I'm so proud of you that that's Pete. That's the Pete I know there. And I don't know. I didn't set out to, like, try to make this statement of be who you are. You know what I mean? I just be you. I
One of the
just,
judges actually said that about you. They said, you could be on the stage of the Country Music Awards, you could be in a stadium, or you could be in a bar, and it would still be the same Pete. And I thought that was
yeah,
really a
that
lovely
was really,
observation.
that was Kelsey Ballerini. That was
That's right.
really, that blew me away. I'm so thankful for all of it, that it really kind of, the experience for me was to be able to get to people and to have conversations like this. And as it went on, they'd say, hey, why are you doing this? Why the story? Let's build the story. And now my sons are going to watch this when they are in their teens and their 20s and their 30s, whenever they watch it, and the light will go off and they'll be like, you can do it. And I want to say this about you doing it. It is not easy. And I have had an amazing support system behind me. My wife and my family, my sister, her mother, her sisters, her friends, our friends, they have helped in ways unbelievable, man. On my company, it's not me. It's not like I'm this talented.
It's never us. It's
Never,
always
man.
it's
It's
always
not
all of
me.
us. Even if you have the spearhead talent, it's always all of us.
And you know what? And you know what? You know why? When people say, "Man, how come you didn't make it all those years ago? How come you didn't this? How come you?" You know why I think it? I genuinely think it. Why not? Because it was just me.
Mm.
It was just me, and that's that's not enough. That is not enough. It has to be a village. It has to be a community. It has to be, because I think if it is a village and it is community, it's real.
Mm.
It's got mass to it, and it's you know what I mean. It's it's viable. It will carry on. It will live on. Like all these comments. I was on the show for through technically to top 12 or top 13 once it all shook out. I didn't make it to the finale, but I won.
You
I
totally
won, dude.
totally.
Totally won. And everything I wanted to get out of that show, as it went on. I mean, I want to back up and tell you this. I've not said this to anyone at all. I know I haven't, but there's a part of me that when Blake Shelton and I were in a group 25 years ago, and it was a group where we didn't hang out all the time. It's not like we were throwing back beers all the time together. It was not like that. It was, I see him once a week maybe, or once every 2 weeks for a year, something like that. But there's a part of me that wanted to prove something to him.
Sure.
Of
course.
All these years later, because in that group back then, the vibe was, which one of these two guys is going to make it? Because that's how it was. They put him on one end, me on the other, or sometimes, and I would open the show, he would close the show. I was the Garth Brooks kind of modern country. He was the throwback. I mean, it was like this, who's going to do it? And Blake did it.
Wow, that's so interesting, because his first couple of songs were not throwback country. His first couple of songs were pop songs.
They were pop, but at the time, he had he was from Oklahoma. He was kind of the real-ish. He's the tall guy with the long hair, and so there was something in me. It's not. I don't want to say it's like some crick in my neck or anything all these years, but I followed him all these years, and I've been like very supportive and like thought, man, that's really cool that he's really made something of himself like that, like in such a TV star way, a music star way,
in a very savvy way.
In a very savvy way. Blake took himself, and that's how he is, and he made a brand out of it.
Totally.
And he has remained true to that brand. He hasn't changed the menu items and the ingredients in it. He is a stable restaurant that what you're going to get when you go there, and people just keep going back. You know what I mean?
No, totally. He and Luke Bryan have won me over as people, not fans. I'm not a fan of either one, because I'm definitely a different kind of country music fan.
Oh, so my son's coming.
You totally got children.
Hey, Dad, do you know where the iPad is?
I think the iPad is on the counter. If not, you have to go ask Mommy.
It's not.
It's not.
No.
All right, go look on the counter in the kitchen.
That's totally staying in. That's totally staying in. All right, cool. Enough about country music stars. So what's exciting for you that's next? What's going on with you? Where can people get more?
So now I'm back into I'm full-time back into my job. So I have a pretty fast and furious schedule with my job, managing a territory that's rather large. And so I do that during the day and most of the night. And then on the weekends, I now am a true weekend warrior. The balance is on, meaning daytime work, make sure I'm calling the wife during the day to stay in between appointments, see them at night for dinner, focus on my family. The weekends are off recording or off playing shows, but then how do I balance that schedule and give family time also on the weekends here, So
is your music career a little bit bigger now because of The Voice?
A
little more demand?
It hasn't like blown up. I don't have like people like calling my manager going, we want him here, we want him there. And I believe that's because that's what the universe has for me. You know what I mean? I'm not putting it out there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're not putting it out there. You don't get so totally.
No. So what's next is I go to Nashville next month, record some more songs. And actually the Blake Shelton's bass player, the bass player he stole, he's producing the singles. Yeah. And then we've got a song that I wrote with Rob and another writer named Jason Says, called Getting the Band Back Together. We're trying to get Blake to sing on it. And it's all about what we're talking about, the connection 25 years ago. We all went somewhere, but hey, let's get the band back together. We don't have him signed on for that yet. Let me just say, and then I'm recording a Christmas album. I'm going to do it, man. My entire career, man, entire career, people have said, you need to record a Christmas album. And I've always been like the cliche musician going, I'm not doing a Christmas album,
Right.
but now, I've got kids,
Nice.
I've had kids. Coops is 5 years old and Max is 1. I get it. I get it in a way that I never did before. So I'm looking forward to, after recording these 4 songs I'm going to do for like an EP, I go straight into the studio and start recording Christmas stuff.
Dude, you sang Pat Benatar and Louis Capaldi. You can sing anything. So I think it's going to be good. So people can go to your website. I really am going to put your Instagram on the show notes, because that's where you're doing your lives and you're doing interviews with other contestants, which is really
just
insightful.
added me. Yeah, they've just added me to the season 21 Voice press list.
Nice.
So they want me to kind of continue that. They've added me to that list because it's turned into a nice conversation with different artists from perspective of one singer to another.
It's a very different take. You do a night, because it's an insider take, but it's also your vibe. So you guys are having a real conversation. And what I like is you also can tell the truth about the experience without taking away the magic of the experience and bashing the experience. Like, you've really stay on that line of letting people have what they feel about these things. So thank you.
Well, you got it, man. I mean, I don't ever want to bash their system. It's their show. It's their sandbox. I went into my first rehearsal with the band, and that band is amazing. And I walked in, and Paul Merkovich says, "Hey, we're just going to run through the song real quick." Boom, they start playing. I don't even say hello to anyone. And then they stop, and he goes, "Okay, you ready?" I said, No. Hang on a second. Hang on. He goes, "What?" I said, "What's your name? What is your name?" He goes, "Oh, my name's Paul." And they went around the room and we all introduced. I said, "Guys, look, here's the deal. This is your sandbox." I said, "I've played a lot of shows." I said, "But I've never done this." I said, "So I'm in your sandbox." I said, "You tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it here." And we started a great relationship that way.
Oh, you saw it on your audition. Like, you nodded. So you're again, everything about you comes through. So thank you for being on the show with me. Thank you for being so candid and vulnerable. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
To everybody else, everything will be in the show notes, so you can find his performances, his interviews, and his music. To everybody else, I really appreciate your time and attention. It is precious to me. I love you. Have a great rest of the day.